Hello, friends, and welcome to Elements and Alchemy, the podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Johnson, sharing the astrological, lunar, and tarot influences for the week ahead of April 5th through April 12th, 2019. I want to begin this week's episode with a thank you for your patience, as there was no podcast last week. And I want to just give a really brief explanation as to what that meant and why that happened. Aside from the fact that I was having my own astrological stuff going on, which very, very much prevented me from speaking clearly at all. Okay, so that was thing number one. My Mercury was getting hit hard. There's also, there was no message. Okay, Spirit didn't give me anything to give to you. And I want you all to know that I did try really hard. There was a lot of trying. I tried at least 15 times, over the course of 3 days to get that podcast out. And it just wasn't happening. And finally, Spirit was like, you've been trying to do this. And I mean, it wasn't even just the recording. It was even the prep for it, because I start prepping for the following week's episode, basically 2 days after I record. And as I was prepping, I could feel that it wasn't until this week that I had to say something. But, my linear mind was like, well, we have to be consistent and people are expecting a podcast and blah, 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 blah. And that just that's not how intuition works. It's not how divine timing works. It wasn't the messages that I'm channeling and what I'm giving. We were still supposed to be working through the process and working through the energies of the Capricorn moon square Aries sun. Okay, because that was the last podcast that I did almost 2 weeks ago. We were still in that process. Okay, so I want you guys to know, if for any reason, where I don't say hey, I'm not going to be able to record next week, so I'll be back or whatever. If there's a gap, know that we're still in those energies. Okay, Spirit works like that a lot. All right, and Spirit works like that a lot in my own life, where it's I'll pull cards for a certain, for the week or whatever. And I've literally had those cards sit for 2-3 months, because what I thought was going to be a week's worth of process actually took longer. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It doesn't mean that anything's lagging. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean anything. It just means that we're in sync with flow. We're in sync with divine timing, which is flow. Linear time, it structures the flow, but it is not the flow. Okay, if that makes sense. All right, so I'm saying all of this to say that there may be times when there is no current message from Spirit. Okay, if there is no current message from Spirit, that means that the previous message from Spirit is still in play. So if this ever happens again, where there's a week of no podcast unexpectedly, know that the message from Spirit is continue in these energies. Go back and re-listen to the previous week, okay? So that, to know where you need to go and go a little bit deeper, okay? I just want to, just get this out there, because the fact of the matter is we do run on, this linear timeline where it's consistency and expectations, and things have to be the same and they have to always be on time, and that's not how creativity, that's not how Spirit works. It just doesn't work that way. And I would not be in my integrity if I just put out some content just because people were expecting it. Okay, that's not how I work. That's not how I want to do things. And I respect you all too much to do that. Okay, and I respect myself, and I don't want to disrespect spirit by just putting some bullshit out there so that everybody feels happy and feels good, and it actually isn't what you need. Okay, me doing that would just be like giving you shit that you didn't really need, because really what you're supposed to be doing is still working through the energy. Okay, and if it resonates with you, obviously. If it doesn't, then don't do that. But but I'm assuming that if you're listening, then what I'm saying resonates, and I want you to understand that, you know, spirit is speaking to me, through me, for all of you, and I love and respect you guys too much to just blow smoke up your asses and just give you some shit that you don't really need. Okay, so that's that story. All right, I hope that everyone understands, and you know, that's that. So seeing as how we have been working, you know, with the energies from 2 weeks ago, which was the third quarter square of the moon. So that was basically the moon in Capricorn squaring the sun in Aries. Okay, and we were still in that dream sequence. Okay, we were still in the dream sequence that began with the new moon in Pisces, okay, which was now a month ago. And that lunar cycle was really, really asking us to let go. Okay, let go and open up. Okay, open ourselves up to prepare for birth. Okay, we were preparing like the dream, okay, the vision that we had that started with the Aquarius moon, you know, when we had that back in February, which was like, what is your vision? Okay, now that we're coming off of the end of all of these cycles and we're newly empowered beings that are, you know, we're healing and we're growing, the next step in our evolution is to learn how to co-create. Okay, that's basically the message for the year. That's basically our mandate for this year. Co-creation. Okay, learning how to co-create. Okay, so all of the changes and the turmoil and everything that we've been through over the course of the last like 9 years, you know, while Uranus was in Aries and Chiron was in Pisces and Pluto's been through Capricorn and is still there, you know, and all of the evolution that we've undergone is bringing us to this new stage where we level up. And yes, we are still children of the universe, but we've grown up. Okay, I don't know if anybody has, you know, if you have children, if you have grown children, your relationship changes. Okay, you don't need to care for them in the same way. You do still care for them. You do still look out for them. You're always a parent, but they get to come to you with what it is that they want to do. Okay, so you become equals. Okay, they're still your child and obviously still younger than you and all of those things, but you become equals. All right, and this is kind of what's happening. We're birthing ourselves into this new place where we are like the divine, like that's what being made in the image of the divine means. We have free will. That free will enables us to co-create. Okay, and we've been co-creating the entire time. It's that now we have to do it consciously. Okay, so the processes of turmoil and everything that we've undergone actually made it possible. It clarified for us, okay, what it was we were creating, if that makes sense, okay? Because it kind of broke us all the way down, brought, you know, all of our foundations, all of our structures, you know, kind of leveled everything so that we could get to the core of what it is that we were calling in, okay? And we were calling, like, you know, and this is what I was saying about Venus, okay? And this is why that Libra full moon was so important, is because, you know, Venus is how it's resonance, okay? Venus is resonance. It's what we attract, how we attract it through our own vibration, okay? And really, like, the whole process that we had undergone to get us to this point was getting us to where we were not in resonance with our highest self, where we were not in resonance with our highest truth, where we were not in resonance with our highest potential, and to break all that down so that we can now step in to a place of conscious co-creation and not call in inadvertently and unconsciously shit that keeps us in those places of not being in our highest. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, so, previously we were calling in things that kept us small, calling in things that kept us from our highest truth, calling in things that kept us from being on our highest path, okay, for that particular time. Okay, we've resonated out of that. We're vibing higher now. Woohoo. And that means that now because we are conscious of our old patterning, our old behaviors, okay, that means that now we get to step into a place of consciously, okay, calling in what we want. All right. We get to go to source, spirit, creator, whatever you want to call it, God, and we get to say, you know what, this is what I would like to call in. All right. Because this is aligned with what is highest for me. All right. And that is that reciprocity of divine will mixed with our will. All right. So we're birthing into that. Okay. That's what that whole Pisces dream sequence, like living into our dream, living into our dream, living into our dream, more and more and more and more and more. And as we lived into the dream, we had to keep expanding. Okay. And expanding hurts. Okay. It hurts because you have to stretch everything in you, around you, and about you to be able to accommodate. Okay. We were opening our souls to be able to allow spirit, which is divine will, essentially, to move through us. Okay. So it was like really like, opening for birth. Okay, so it was living into the dream, and the more we lived into the dream, the more we opened for birth. The more we lived into the dream, the more we opened for birth. The more we let go, okay? So that's the other part of consciously creating, is that like sitting within yourself and being confident in your alignment. Okay, sitting within your own alignment and asking and then backing up. Okay, because there were things that we didn't see, things that we did not know. Okay, our perception, we can only see what's around us. The divine can see everything. So in order for us to be able to birth our dream in optimal circumstances, things needed to shift around a lot. Okay, so it was a lot of backing up, letting go, letting spirit work for us, and opening ourselves so that spirit can not only work for us, but spirit could work through us. Okay, because the more we expand and spirit can move through us, we are birthing our expanded beings with our higher selves moving through. Okay, so that was kind of the whole story of the last month. Okay, and the last 2 weeks, that third quarter square really began the process of pushing. Okay, we are pushing to be born. Okay, we're pushing ourselves to be born. Okay, we're pushing ourselves, opening up a little further, and that shit didn't feel good. Okay, I'm not saying that it felt great. All right, anybody that's given birth should know this. Like, it don't feel good. All right, but the rewards and the result are bigger and just unfathomably beautiful. Okay, like this process, it's painful. Okay, it's painful. And because, like I said, it's asking us to stretch ourselves, stretch our minds, stretch our hearts, stretch our bodies, stretch our being, stretch our soul, like stretch, open, okay, as wide as we possibly can at this juncture, okay, because there's still more growth, but as big as we can for this particular intention, okay, to birth something. All right. And I'm actually kind of cracking up because today is my youngest son's birthday. And so basically I'm going to say like about, 20 minutes ago, he was born 8 years ago. So happy birthday to my little boo-boo. But 8 years ago this time, I had just given birth, okay, for the second time. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story about that. And not like a whole story about the birth. It wasn't any, But I remember that I remember pushing, okay? And I remember feeling that force, okay? And I'm sure that we've all been feeling a force, okay? Pluto has been on the south node, okay? Our south node of evolution, okay? Where our south node is our node of karma, okay? It has gravity, it has weight, okay? And by karma, I just mean actions, okay? It's actions that we've taken, actions that, it's the actions that we've taken and the repercussions of those actions, okay? If that makes sense, all right? On the opposite end is the north node, which is our node of destiny. It's our node, it's where we need to be fixated right now to pull us out of the gravity of the past, okay, to propel us forward. All right, so the south node is in Capricorn, the north node is in Cancer, okay? South node in Capricorn is a lot about our personal power, okay? Our structures, okay? How we structure our lives based on our own perception of our personal power. Okay, that's South Node in Capricorn, where we've been, okay? How we feel that we, sit in the world, how we feel that we are seen in the world, okay? Based on, like I said, the structuring of what is around us, our security, okay? The actions that we've taken, all right? To attain security, to attain personal power, to to kind of put ourselves, into the world. That's that South Node in Capricorn. North Node in Cancer is calling us towards home, okay? Calling us toward emotional security, okay? Towards nurturing, towards nourishment, towards connection, okay? Towards feeling. All right, that's what the North Node of destiny, of evolution, like that's where we're moving forward, okay? Pluto. Okay, Pluto is the planet of deep evolution, okay? So if we have the nodes of evolution, all right, South Node, North Node, Pluto kind of rules this, okay? Because Pluto rules evolution, all right? Pluto rules death and transformation and rebirth, okay? Which is evolution, all right? Something must grow. Something must, be here for a moment. It must break down and it must die, okay? And then even in death, it breaks down further and then it comes back again, all right? That's what Pluto is doing. Pluto is on that south node, routing out, okay? Getting to the root. Okay, Pluto is, it's deep. Okay, Pluto's like the underworld. Okay. And Cancer Capricorn axis, this is the axis of our roots. Okay. So we are going so far down. Okay. So far down. Okay. Into our power structures, our own personal power structures. Okay. To make a new foundation. All right, so things have been feeling really, 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 really intense, okay? And there's a bearing down. Okay, this is what I was talking about, in pushing, all right? With my first son, I did not feel that sensation. My second son, whose birthday is today, I felt that sensation. Like, it's a force, okay? And I feel like Pluto being on the south node, it's like this force. We need to be birthed through, it's our resurrection, okay? Coming from the South Node, it's like this birth back into the waters of Cancer, okay? Back into security, back into home, but in a new sense, okay? So that we can continue evolving, right? So that's been this bearing down, all right? And this is where I was telling you with like the birth of my son, I remember feeling that bearing down and pushing. And as I was pushing, this is another star story because I kind of forgot about this. I went to the stars again. I went to the stars, and I remember feeling as though I was going to be torn open. Like I literally felt like my whole being was being rent asunder. Like I was being split in half. Okay, that's literally, I was in the stars, and I remember my soul feeling like it was being split in two. And I remember just saying, you know what? If I have to go now, I'm good. Like I will go. I completely surrendered. Okay. And I feel like that could be like a lot of what folks are feeling right now, like this intense bearing down, this intense, like everything is shifting, everything's changing. But in order for something new to be born, we have got to surrender. Okay. And that was that ego death. It was like I opened up and a part of me fell away. Okay. And that's what's happening now. We're opening up and a part of us is falling away. All right. So that is actually bringing me to today. All right. Which is April 5th. And we had the new moon early this morning, Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Like 4:58 this morning, I think. And, a new moon in Aries. Okay. A new moon in Aries. And that I've spoken about, the will, our will to leave the waters of Pisces. Okay. That's like Pisces is like the primordial mother. Okay. She is the womb. It's the womb of all potentialities. Okay. Everything is swirling around in Pisces. We're all interconnected. Everything is one and everything is possible. Okay. And then there is a spark. There's a spark of divinity that says, you know what? This possibility. I want to experience this. Okay. And it makes the journey through Pisces and out into Aries and breaks out. Okay. And today with that new moon in Aries, that's that birth. Okay. And that's why there was no podcast last week, because we were literally just pushing. Okay. We're literally pushing. Okay. And, just kind of like that surrender of like, okay, I give up. I even had that moment for myself this week. Like there was a moment where I had to just say, you know what, I think I'm done with this. And it's something that I've been holding on to. And I'm like, I'm done with it. Like I'm done. And I don't care what that means. And I'm just now realizing that as I'm talking to you all, but I don't know if anyone else had those moments, but it was like a pushing, a bearing down, and then just kind of like, you know what? I have to put this down now. I've got to open up. All right. And 2 weeks ago with, like I said, that third quarter square moon, the tarot card for that week, or the last 2 weeks, I should say, was the 10 of Wands. Okay. And the 10 of Wands is that wands are the suit of spirit. Okay. Our spirit had been on a long journey, okay, to get to those 10 wands. All right. And he's in the Rider-Waite sky, he's carrying these 10 wands all bundled up in front of him. He can't see where he's going. He's almost there. He's almost made it to his destination, but he's carrying these fucking heavy wands and he can't see where he's going. He's tired as hell. Okay. It's like the laboring. Okay. We were laboring for the last 2 weeks. We were, laboring for all of last year, coming into heavy, hard labor and the time of pushing. Okay. And we're done pushing. We're born as of today. Congratulations, everyone. Happy birthday. But I'm going to do things a little differently because the card that I pulled when I thought that I was going to do the podcast last week, and felt immediately that this card was for today, I pulled the Princess of Wands. Okay, and the Princess of Wands, or the Page of Wands, depending on what deck you read from, is the card that comes after the Ten of Wands. Okay, so the Ten of Wands is the end of a spiritual cycle. It's the end of a spiritual journey. Okay, it's the end of the journey of our creative essence, our spirit spark. Okay, and the Princess of Wands, I read from the Thoth deck, as I've mentioned before. It, coming after the Ten of Wands for the last 2 weeks and being the next card after that particular card in the suit means that we have leveled up. Okay, we've leveled up. Okay, we're birthed now. Okay, new birth, rebirth. Okay, we have been reborn today as of this new moon. Okay, and what happens is the Princess of Wands is once again only carrying one wand. Okay, from here on out, the court cards only have one wand. All right, now as we journeyed from like the Ace of Wands and we come 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, by the time we got to 10, like, we're carrying a lot. Okay, we're carrying a lot. All right, and that's all of like it's just all of our ego stuff. It's all of the things that we collect along the way. It's all the things that come up in us, and we kind of have to pull them out, and we're carrying and we're carrying and we're carrying. Okay, the Princess of Wands in my particular deck, she's flying. She's flying, like she's basically taken a light on a flame. Okay, and she's got this one wand in her hand, and she's got like these big, kind of like antenna, okay, that look like they came from this tiger that is like trailing behind her, but like clearly like wrapped around her, like the tail's wrapped around her neck, and it's kind of like a cape. Okay, but this tiger is like this big tiger cape, and he's flailing behind her, and on the side there's an altar. Okay, and it kind of looked like incense burning, but today I looked at it and I was like, those are the wands. Those are the other 9 wands that we do not need any longer. Okay, the 9 wands are the lessons of spirit. Okay, we're done with those particular lessons of spirit. They can go, and they are our offering. Those 9 wands of spirit are our offering for our rebirth, for the rebirth of this one wand, which is our essential self, our essential divinity, our essential spark. So we've laid the other 9 wands down as an offering and with gratitude for our experience. Okay, those 9 other wands that we gathered, that was our journey of spirit. Okay, and spirit's about to embark on another journey, reborn. Okay, this journey is of conscious co-creation, okay, and healing. All right, so, and we've shed the skin. Okay, we've shed a base layer, which is what this tiger on here represents. It's like shedding a basic layer and being reborn from that. However, she still has the antenna, attached to a headpiece with the tiger's stripes on it, which means that she is aware. She has transmuted those baser energies. And I don't want to say base. I hate saying that because it means that something is, I hate like that hierarchy of lower and higher or whatever. But basically she's transmuted and transcended a previous state. Okay. And now has that knowledge. Okay, this is what I was talking about, Chiron being in Aries and us transcending our wounding. Okay, this is kind of that transcending of our old self, but taking it with us, taking the experiences of our old self with us, okay, to help us in this new state of evolution that we're in. All right, so that is the Princess of Wands starting the week, okay, starting this week with this Aries new moon, okay, and Princess of Wands is fire, okay, so like I said, that's spirit. Aries is fire, okay, this is rebirth. This is us shedding that skin, shedding our old selves, putting the journey of the last, I actually think, oh my God, I didn't even think about this, 9 wands, okay, 9 wands, 9 years. Okay, 9 years. Chiron and Uranus began their journeys through the signs that they were previously in 9 years ago. We're literally putting down the journey of the last 9 years, offering that up to be transmuted. Okay? Offering that up to be transmuted. And remember, this is alchemy, okay? Nothing ever just goes away. Okay, this is energy. Energy does not die. All right, so what we're doing is we're shifting energy. You can't kill energy. You can't say, oh, well, I don't want to deal with that anymore. Okay, you can't do that. All right, so you can't just put the 9 wands down. They have to be transmuted through our own fire. We are the pyre that we put them on. We lay them down, and our choices, okay, our decision to open up, our decision to shed the old is what burns that into something that we can use. Okay, those experiences have to be transmuted into something else. Okay, and that's the journey that we're about to be on now. Okay, so we have just birthed, and that's the sun basically conjunct the new moon is that birth. Okay, the moon is our agent of soul. Sun is the agent of spirit. They unified. Okay, unified today. All right, in Aries, we came out of the waters. All right, we came out of the waters of Pisces. And even though the sun's been here for a minute, it was waiting for the moon, waiting for the soul to come round. Okay, waiting for its container. Okay, I would say spirit moves through the soul. Soul is the container for spirit. Okay, so spirit was waiting for its container to come back. And now we're birthed, okay, into this new cycle, into this new process, all right, which we've been trying to live into. All right, we're birthing ourselves into our dream. Okay, that's what we're doing. We're birthing ourselves into our dream with this Aries new moon. And after the moon and the sun conjunct today, the moon is going to move on, okay, to square Saturn, okay, in Capricorn. And coming from this place of rebirth, okay, all right, the square is a little different, okay? The square is stabilizing, okay? Where a lot of times squares can feel like really frictional. This one does not have that energy to me. This particular square feels like it's anchoring, okay? It's an anchoring square. Like, we're being reborn. We need to get our bearings, okay? We're new, all right? We're newly born here, okay? So we need boundaries to protect what's new, okay? Like, you wouldn't just send a baby out into the world by itself, you know, with no protection, no parent, you know, you wouldn't just do that. Like, you know, that's not how this works. Okay, so I feel like, you know, we want to, because we're like, yay, we've just been born, but it's like, hold up. Okay, Saturn's like, pump your brakes. Okay, just pump your brakes a little bit, because what Saturn wants us to do is to protect what's new. Okay, it's still in its fledgling state. Okay, it's here, but it's not completely done. All right, you know, human babies take an entire year to actually like be completely ready. Like, we're not fully, you know, outside ready, you know, when we're born into this world. Like, our bodies and stuff, like, we still have a lot of development to do in that first year before we're actually like, oh, like a fully formed human being. Okay, and that's what's happening now. Just because we're here when we're birthed doesn't mean that we are quite ready yet. All right, so Saturn, that square to Saturn is like, okay, pump your brakes a little bit, babes. Okay, pump your brakes a bit. All right, like, Yes, you're here, and yes, you want to move, but this is still too tender. It's still too new, and something could happen. Okay, you don't want to break up your dream. All right? It's you don't want to break yourself up. You don't want to harm yourself by moving too quickly. Okay, so Saturn's here to kind of tell us, like I said, pump your brakes, look at what new boundaries you need. Like, how do you want to protect this? Okay, and I don't mean protect it by like, no one's ever going to see it, I'm not letting it go. I mean, like, how can you like give it space to breathe while keeping it in a nice place, okay? Keeping appropriate boundaries around it, and also taking proper steps, okay? Because now the dream it's coming into being, okay? And this, I should also say that, I'm saying like we're born today. This is a process of birth that is going to take us to actually, Taurus. Okay, so I should say this begins the process of birth, okay? But we are feeling like we're mostly born here, okay? We're born, we're out, okay? Our will is like new will born. Let's take a step back, okay? Because we're shedding that skin, we're shedding, okay? Let's take a step back and see the proper boundaries, see the proper steps to take, okay? And it might feel like, oh man, like I don't think it's going to be like super, super horrible, as a square can be, especially a square to Saturn can be. But I do think it's going to be like, I should probably like not move this fast. Like, this is important. This is special. Okay. I worked really, really hard for this. How do I keep it? What's the best way to grow it? Excuse me. What's the best way to grow it? What's the best foundation to give it? All right. That's what I feel like moon square Saturn is. Then the moon is also going to square the nodes of the moon. Okay. And when the moon squares the nodes of the moon, okay, our soul is given, okay, like I said, moon is the agent of the soul. It's our emotions, okay? And there's a choice to be had, okay? There's a choice to be made, okay? It forms a T-square, okay? So this moon in Aries, okay, is going to square the nodes of the moon. And emotionally, we may be feeling pulled in two different directions, essentially. And the two different directions are like, okay, I want to go... You're feeling the pull of like how things were, which is like that karmic south node with a lot of that gravity. And you're feeling the pull of how things could be with, that security and feeling that sense of home, okay? If we keep with the analogy of like a newly birthed baby, okay, what is it that a newly birthed baby needs most? Okay, it needs nourishment. It needs to feel attached. It needs to feel secure. It needs to feel warm. It needs to have a home base to go to, okay? All right. Along with, okay, now we're going to swing it. That's that north node, okay? So if we look toward the north node, okay, as we like keep this analogy of ourselves as newly born babies, keep this analogy of our dreams as newly born creations, okay, we want to give them the best start. You give the best start for a new babe. You give them home, you give them security, you give them love, you give them warmth, you give them food, you give them nurturing. So that's that Cancer side pull, okay, of the Cancer north node, okay? And then we're going to be feeling, the pull of the old a little bit. But I also feel like, and this is, Pluto on the south node, I did speak about it earlier as being, how, like the roots of our power, okay, the roots of our personal power. What I also neglected to say is that, things could be coming back up now with Pluto conjunct the south node, okay? Lots of things could be coming back around. Old relationships, old habits, old things. But it doesn't all have to be bad, okay? Like I was telling my friend, it could be like a country western song being played backwards where you get all the shit you ever lost, or it could really be a shit show if we haven't done the work. Okay, if we have not been doing the work of the soul and this evolution. So there is a sense that we could be feeling the new. Okay, this is really what this feels like. Feeling the new coming up, feeling the new boundary, feeling the new sense of personal power as we look toward. Okay, we have to keep our focus on what brings us emotional security, what brings us emotional sustenance, what brings us emotional nourishment, what brings us emotional fulfillment in Cancer. If we look that way, we will understand the structures, okay, which is what Saturn was asking us. Like, what are the structures that you need? Okay, we'll understand what actions that we have maybe taken in the past. Okay, we could even get things coming in for us, from taking past actions. Okay, like blessings coming in to help us on this new journey that we're on. To help it's like you just had a baby, you got some gifts. Okay, you get gifts from like long lost relatives. Okay, that could be Pluto on the South Node. Okay, that could be the moon squaring the nodes. Like, we're looking for this security, we're looking for this nurturance with, the moon squaring the Cancer North Node. But we're able to see the gifts of the past. Okay, and they could be physical. This is Capricorn, so we could be getting physical gifts from the past. Okay, things that, are karmically ripe for us to receive now because we've been reborn to another level. Okay, so we've leveled up. So now we get to build a new foundation and we get new gifts. Okay, Pluto is also riches. Capricorn's also like, it's the material wealth that we stand upon. Okay, and I don't mean that in the sense of money. I mean, it's like knowing your worth, knowing your value, like knowing that shit and owning it. It's ownership. Okay, ownership of that shit. All right, so we could be getting a newfound sense of personal power, a newfound sense of ownership, gifts coming in, old people coming in to help us, okay, because we've been reborn. And who's not happy about somebody being born? That's what I'm saying. I feel like these squares today are it's like that new, all right? Like when you're a new parent, you're tired, you're scared, you don't know what the fuck you're doing, but you're really happy, okay? And it's like that's what the squares feel like. It's like, yay, you're born. Oh my God, what the fuck do we do? Like, I have to keep this alive. And that's really what these squares are like. It's like, we have to keep this alive. We have to keep ourselves alive, our new selves alive. We have to keep this dream alive. It's here. It's coming into being. How the fuck do we take care of it? Okay? Like, that's what these squares feel like to me. And it's like, how do we, where do we put it? How do we arrange it? How do we feed it? What is the care and feeding of this dream? What is the care and feeding of this new version of myself? Okay? So that's what I feel like the moon, like after this new moon and coming to square Saturn and Pluto in the nodes, it's like, how the fuck do I take care of this? And every parent figures it out. Most parents figure that out, okay? So understand that as conscious co-creators now, we get to be the parent. Okay, we are in charge of this, obviously with source directing and overseeing and giving us gifts and giving us what we need from the past. Okay, as we look toward our evolutionary mandate to find home and find security, as we do that, source is like bringing up from the past, this is what you need. This is what you need. You've done this work. This is the timing for you to reap these benefits, to reap this new foundation. Okay? All right. Then the moon is going to go on to trine Jupiter today. Okay? And moon in Aries, okay, like I said, it's just coming off. It's just like reborn. Like, we're babes, okay? We see what's being birthed. Okay, this is birth. We see what's being birthed and we're like, oh shit, how are we going to take care of this? How do we feed it? How do we, clothe it? How do we interact with it? Like, what does it need? Okay, we're doing all of that And, we still want to push through. But like I said, we're like, okay, we need to make a plan. Okay. But a lot of those squares can make us feel like we want to like tamp down a little bit. And I feel like Jupiter and Sag is like, no. You don't have to tamp down. Like, because when you tamp down, that's like that control, okay? We might want to overly control things, okay? Because like we want to move forward, okay? And we see the need to take care, okay? But sometimes we go too far in that need of taking care, okay? We go too far. We don't give anything room to breathe, okay? And I feel like the moon trine Jupiter is that remembrance, okay? Because this is all happening like kind of simultaneously. So it's like, we're going to be like, and this is birthing and we see it and we have to take care of it. And oh shit. And like, what do we do? How do we take care of it? And then we're going to kind of maybe want to like clamp down and, out of protection. Okay. Like I said, this is a new birth. Like you want to kind of clamp down. You want like, it's like when first time parents, like, nothing can ever hit the floor. Nothing can ever, everybody has to wash their hands, By the time you get to like the second, third, fourth kid, like you could give a shit, okay? Like you realize that you can ease up, okay? And I think that that's Jupiter's job, is like reminding us we don't have to be so strict, okay? We don't have to be so strict. We can open up and, allow things in, but with appropriate boundaries, okay? With appropriate boundaries, and knowing when to open up to something and when to, back something up, okay? But Jupiter's like, keep expanding, all right? Keep expanding. Also, moon trine Jupiter to me could also be a little bit of that, like, it's like that afterbirth, okay? It's like, because you have the baby, but then the placenta must be delivered. Okay, what the baby was in must come out. Okay, so it's like having that understanding. Jupiter in Sag is about expanding and understanding. It's like the other part of birth that nobody really talks about, but it's there. It happens. And if you look at the placenta as, the thing that housed us, the thing that nourished us, the thing that took care of us, okay, and it can still, provide nourishment even after, like, you can get it ground into pills or whatever. But, there's something to be like looking back, okay, having a bit of perspective about where we were and what grew us. Okay, having perspective about where we've been, what grew us, what we threw on the fire to allow us to be born, okay, and taking that in as like in a higher way. And that's what I was talking about, the Princess of Wands having that headpiece with the tiger. She's free. She's free. Okay, our essence is our spirit spark. It's free. Jupiter's like, remember this freedom. Remember where you came from to get to this point. Let that nourish you, okay? Because where we've come from, no matter how hard and horrible, we're done with that now. Okay, we've just taken this 9-year journey, put our 9-year wands on the pyre, okay, as an offering to ourselves, and just opened up, okay? And now here we are, and we might want to like clamp down in protection, and Jupiter's like, no, you don't have to. You've grown enough to know. Look at where you've been from. Look at where you've come from. You know that clamping down is it's not the answer. Erect your proper boundaries. Find your nourishment. Don't do what you did before. Okay? That's Jupiter reminding us with that afterbirth. This is where you've come from. This is what you grew in. Okay, and it is useful for you because you can't go back in there again, but it has wisdom for you. Okay, all right. And Mercury is in Pisces, okay, and Mercury just went direct last week. Okay, so Mercury in Pisces is going to sextile Saturn, and Capricorn. Okay, so sextiles are opportunity aspects. Okay, so all of this is going on at the same time today, and Mercury and Pisces sextile Saturn and Capricorn. It's like Mercury still is like this concept of the dream, like the concept of the dream. Okay, and this is what I was saying, like our dream is not fully birthed yet. Okay, it's coming into being, so a part of it is coming in, but the rest of it's like it's coming. Okay, it's got to come in parts. Okay, so the concept of our dream is still in the waters of Pisces, and this is literally like when you're born and you can't talk. Okay, like you can't communicate with people because you're still like, you know, in another state. Okay, that's kind of what this is. Okay, so like we're seeing physical manifestation, maybe physical evidence of things changing, things coming into being, even ourselves, but our minds have to get on board. Okay, our minds are coming in to an understanding of like, okay, like I'm holding the concept, like our minds are holding the concept. Our intelligence is holding the concept of what it is that has just been birthed, what is birthing. Okay, our minds are holding that. And we're able to witness. Okay, we're witness through Saturn. Okay, Saturn is looking over in Capricorn and saying, okay, like I just bore witness to this birth. Okay, and now I see like what do we need here? Okay, I see that we need to take X step, Y step, Z step to get to what you, Mercury, are holding in your intelligence. Okay, the intelligence of our dream has yet to be manifested. Okay, and that's actually happening over the course of this week. All right, so that's why this is important, and that's why I'm saying it. The intelligence of our dream is manifesting. Okay, and we're going to be getting very clear on what the boundaries need to be, like how we need to, and this goes to like, you know, us birthing ourselves, birthing this dream, and then looking around like, what the fuck do we do? Okay, Mercury has holding that concept of this dream, holding the concept of who we are, like our soul intelligence is like, this is what we need. Okay, this is what we need in order to birth this, in order for this to not go down the way that it went down previously. Okay, give space, remain open. Okay, so that's Mercury sextile Saturn. So we might get an opportunity to, you know, really understand understand what we need. Okay, what we need moving forward. All right, so we're not, because Sun in Aries, being anything birthed in Aries is just pure will. It wants to move, and you really have to rein that shit in. Okay, because it can fuck shit up. Okay, and not in always a bad way, but just by moving outside of flow. Okay, Mercury in Pisces is, and talking to Saturn is like, Saturn structures flow. That's actually Saturn's job. Okay, we look at Saturn as this taskmaster, but Saturn's only a taskmaster when we are out of flow. Okay, that was actually Saturn's trip. Like Saturn got out of flow, and that's why like became like the, you know, the keeper of time and all that stuff. Saturn got out of flow, but Saturn's original job as like, Saturn's an agent for the mother. That's why Capricorn is opposite of Cancer. Okay, Cancer's flowing, but when things are constantly flowing, we can't capture anything. Nothing can materialize. Okay, so Saturn's job is to actually structure flow, give space, provide a container for what wants to flow. Okay, so Mercury holding this concept of this dream and like that we've just birthed is like, okay, like this is gosh, I just lost my complete train of thought. This is what we need. Okay, this is how you care for this. These are the steps we're going to need to take moving forward. Okay, in order to protect what has just been birthed. All right, that's what this is. Like, It's not ready to stand on its own. It's not ready to speak for itself. Like, it's still got some growing to do. We still have growing to do. Our dreams are still growing. It's a whole process, okay? Mercury sextile Saturn today is like, hey, give space to the process. Okay, give space, but take the proper steps, erect the proper boundaries, stay in flow. Stay in flow. Do not clamp down. Okay, stay in flow, stay expanded, okay, and allow the container to meet you. Okay, that's staying with divine flow, that's staying with divine timing. Flow and allow the container to appear for you, to hold you, okay? That's today, and then tomorrow, the moon, will be moving into Taurus from Aries. So it goes from Aries to Taurus. Okay. And as soon as the moon gets into Taurus, it's basically going to conjunct Uranus. All right. And the moon conjunct Uranus after this birth process is, I feel like it's more like it's that higher spirit. It's like coming into contact with that higher spirit. Okay. And remember, Uranus liberates. Okay. Uranus provides enlightenment. Okay, so I feel like after the moon's coming, from this birth process and being born and, meeting with Saturn and Jupiter and, understanding what it is that we need to, how the steps that we need to take to help ourselves, help our dream along, help our dream to fully come into being, because it's still baby. Okay, baby dreams. Okay, baby us. All right. Moon conjunct Uranus is, I think Uranus is in Taurus. Okay, breaking ground. Okay, shaking the foundations. Okay, new shit wants to grow. New shit wants to be activated. So I feel like this is like that activation on the material plane. Okay, like it's getting activated materially. Okay, Uranus is taking that emotional intel from the moon and using it to activate in Taurus. Okay, on the earth plane, materially. Okay, like we are officially getting spiritualized. Okay, on this plane, like we're coming in more and more and more into being. Okay, that's what I feel like moon conjunct Uranus is. It's like that emotional intel, because it goes like our emotional resources, like what we have at our emotional disposal to continue growing into this dream. Uranus is like, yes, let me see what that is. All right, how do we ground that? How do we ground that? How do we put that into our foundation? Okay, how do we break ground with this? How do we open up? How can we start to build emotional structure for you? Okay. All right. So that is Saturday. Saturday is a pretty quiet day. And that's the other thing I want to say. The days are also pretty quiet again. So we're not getting a lot of activity in between the day of the complete lunar phase. So this is still kind of like a let go, let God kind of scenario. So I just want to make everyone really aware of that. Sunday, the 7th, the moon will still be in Taurus, moving through. And as the moon moves through Taurus, the moon is going to sextile Venus in Pisces. Okay. And Neptune in Pisces. Okay. And the moon in Taurus sextiling Venus and Neptune. Moon in Taurus, like I said, it's our emotional resources. It's like what we have the capacity to share, what we have to share emotionally. Okay. And we're just reborn. Okay. So this is our new selves. It's us coming into an understanding after meeting with Uranus the day before on Saturday, coming into an understanding of, in our new state, what do we have to share? Okay, what do we have to share? And how can we build on ourselves? How can we build on our dream with what we have to share, with this new, in our new state? Okay, what are we building to share? Okay, so the moon in Taurus is going to, like, sextiling Venus in Pisces is like, Venus in Pisces is calling in. Okay, Venus is the attractor. Okay, Venus is resonance. All right, Venus is heart space. Okay, calling in what our soul wants. Okay, calling in, attracting within the soul waters what it is that we need to keep manifesting. Okay, Taurus is about manifesting also. Okay, like, it's an earth sign, so it's not a, like, Virgo is super manifestation, but Taurus is about building for that manifestation. So it's like attracting what it is that we need to build so that we can manifest. Okay, so Venus, it's like an opportunity for us to really come into an understanding of, and attract in what we need on an emotional level. All right, attract in what we need on an emotional level to continue growing. Okay, to continue growing. Taurus is growing. It's growth. Okay, Taurus is growth. What do we need to continue growing our dream? What do we need to continue growing ourselves? All right, so we'll have a really good understanding. What do we need on a soul level? All right, and it might, like, and things are going to start coming to us now. Okay, like I said, Pluto's on the South Node. Things are going to start coming to us now. Mercury's no longer retrograde. We're going to start seeing evidence of what's coming in. Trust your intuition. All right, because Venus is there in Pisces attracting. Mercury is in Pisces with this concept of the dream that the concept has still not been birthed. It's still tweaking. Okay, Pisces is mutable, which means it's not fixed. Okay, so we're still tweaking things. We're still calling in what we need because we're still babies. Okay, all right, so things are going to change. Babies' needs change day to day, week to week, because babies grow rapidly. Okay, think about how fast babies grow. All right, babies grow rapidly. So this is us, like, coming into an understanding of, on a soul level, of what it is that we need so that we can keep building. Okay, building our dream, building ourselves emotionally. Okay, Neptune, I feel like it's us getting inspiration. It's us getting inspired. Okay, it's an opportunity for, like, just divine inspiration to look at something and to really feel into something in a way that we haven't before. Okay, Neptune is the soul. Okay, so the moon sextiling Neptune after sextiling Venus, it's like this opportunity to call in. Okay, call in more resources, more emotional resources, more emotional expansion. Okay, so that we can be inspired. Like, it's like we're birthing something and just being more inspired to work with it, more inspired to grow it. All right, it's like, when you look at something new, when you look at a baby, anything, you're like, oh my gosh, like, it's cute, it's beautiful, like, you feel it it feels pure. Okay, it feels sincere, it's not tainted. Okay, and it's us coming to that place of, like, looking at how untainted this is. Okay, and being inspired to care for it even more. Okay, being inspired to give to it, to love it unconditionally, to love ourselves unconditionally, to invite in and attract Venus, okay, in Pisces, on a soul level. What is going to help us love and grow ourselves unconditionally? All right, love and grow this dream unconditionally. All right. So that is the moon on Sunday, and also on Sunday,
okay,
Mercury's
I do see why I did Mercury sextile Saturn twice. I included Mercury sextile Saturn in when we talked about the new moon on Friday. As just being like, Mercury's still in Pisces waters, holding the concept of the dream and helping us to move forward on all of the things that we had to rethink, recalibrate, and just kind of revisit and review to allow ourselves to open to get to this place of birthing. Okay, and with that, like, once our spirit, like, now that our spirit and our dream, like, now that we as our dream, I should say, are coming into physical manifestation. You know, we're pushing through. You know, we're being birthed now. Like, you know, it's here, and it's like I was saying earlier, like the care and feeding of the dream. Like, how do we do that? Mercury and Saturn talking in that sextile, it's building. It's building a foundation, but it's also grounding us. Okay, and the aspect is exact on Sunday. So it's the exact aspect on Sunday, but it was already happening. You know, they were in orb. Aspect orb just means that they're within degrees of an exact, you know, exact aspect by degree. So yeah, so pretty much like it's really a grounding influence for our spirit that wants to burst forth, and, you know, we want to move. The sun is in Aries, and like, you know, now like we've gotten this soul, like it's like, yes, let's move, let's go, let's do things. And I also want to mention that, you know, because the Princess of Wands, like I said, when we were talking about the new moon, and, you know, just like the energy that we're beginning this week with, okay, we're beginning this particular astrological week with, pages and princesses in the tarot, their element is earth. Okay, so this is earth of fire, right? This is grounded fire. Okay, this is fire that is coming in and being grounded in the earth plane. Okay, the material representation of fire. Okay, this is like fire as the thing that we see and feel, and, you know, like it's the heat, it's the flame, it's the light. Okay, we can see this as we move through the court. The essence gets distilled. Okay, the essence of, you know, the essence of fire gets distilled more and more until like it becomes, you know, it's distilled to its most purest form. Okay, here in earth, and, you know, when we're talking about earth plane, it's not any less. It's just that we're working with it in a different way. Okay, so what this is telling me, based on, you know, this motion that we're doing, because we're starting the week with the Princess of Wands and we're ending the week with another card, which I'll get to in a minute. So I feel as though this birth that we're experiencing with this new moon, it's like all of this, you know, squaring, you know, Saturn and Pluto and the South Node in Capricorn, and then, you know, right after the moon going into Taurus and meeting with Uranus, you know, and moving through the Taurian earth, you know, the earth of Taurus, you know, I feel like it's really grounding us. Okay, it's bringing that fire, bringing our spirit, bringing this birth, bringing what we're birthing into tangible form. Okay, if that makes sense. Okay, something that we can see, touch, taste, and feel. Taurus is about the senses. Okay, so it's almost like, you know, we're you know, like I was saying before, with the moon aspecting Venus in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces, and, you know, they're infusing all of these like soul gifts. Like Venus is attracting what we need through this via the soul. Okay, which is our expression. We express our soul through the moon, okay? And Neptune is contacting the moon while in Taurus also, and like delivering that inspiration, that soul inspiration, that unconditional, you know, unconditional love, the inspiration of, you know, even more possibility of what we can, you know, what we're manifesting, okay? What we're building to manifest, okay? What we're growing. Taurus is about growth. So it's, you know, Mercury sextile Saturn, once again, is like, it's that structuring. And then, you know, all of these aspects to all of these earth signs, all the planets and earth signs, as this is coming into being, coming into life, it's really grounding it on the material plane. Okay, so that's, you know, that's the other part of the Princess of Wands. It's not, yes, she's birthing, like she laid those 9 wands down on that pyre. She made that offering of the old to shed her skin and transmute transmute her old experiences, transmute her old self, okay, and then, move forward. But in that moving forward, it's creation, it's manifestation on this earth plane, okay? This is fire that we can, it's not spiritual fire. Like, it's spiritual fire contained within a material vessel, okay? That's what the Princess of Wands is. It's the material, it's the essence of fire in a vessel, okay, in a new vessel, okay? And as the moon's moving through Taurus, we're really grounding that in and pulling even more soul in, even more soul gifts, soul connections, soul contacts, okay? We're pulling in what our soul needs for spirit to work this dream, for us to work within this new framework, for us to continue to grow, okay? So that's Sunday's energy. Monday, the moon is still in Taurus, okay? So like I said, we're still in that space of grounding this energy, okay? So go easy on yourselves this weekend. There's a lot, you might really see a lot and like be feeling like super free, especially if the weather is really nice. We were like want to like really get out there and like get busy and get doing things, but ground. Okay, make sure that we ground ourselves. Make sure that we're looking so that we don't just go off half-cocked. Okay, we don't want to do that. Aries has a tendency to do that. Okay, so the moon's going to be in Taurus on Monday as well, towards the end of Taurus, and the moon's going to trine Saturn in Capricorn. Okay, so moon in Taurus trine Saturn in Capricorn. This is looking at what we're growing. Okay, how we're growing. All right, and funneling in from that sextile a couple of days ago with Mercury, funneling in now, the appropriate steps. Okay, Taurus is about the appropriate steps. Capricorn is about foundation. So we're like the appropriate steps that we need to take, okay, in order to keep growing. Okay, what are we going to do with all of these soul gifts and stuff, all of this inspiration that we just pulled in the previous day? What are we going to do with that? Okay, so the moon and Saturn are talking about this. It's like, what steps are we going to take? How are we going to proceed moving forward? How are we going to care for this dream? How are we going to nurture it? What are the boundaries of it in this particular state? Okay, because like I said, we're still babies. Okay, we're still babies. We're not quite fully ready. Nothing hatches and is just, actually that's not completely true. But when things first are born, okay, even like a caterpillar, a butterfly, like coming out of the cocoon, everything's really vulnerable. Okay, when things are first birthed, they're vulnerable. They have to get, you've been sequestered in like this, this womb and this chrysalis and this, in this very, very special space. And now you have to get used to light and sound, and you have to get used to the world around you. And that's really what this is. It's like, how do we orient ourselves now? Okay, things are beginning to look different. We're coming into birthing, and we're birthing ourselves into a new being. We're birthing ourselves as a new dream. What's going on? Like, how are we orienting ourselves in our own spaces? What are the steps that we need to take to facilitate the best possible outcome for ourselves if we wish to continue growing? Okay. Then the moon in Taurus is going to trine Pluto, okay, and the south node, okay. Now they're still pretty much connected, okay. It's not exact anymore. The south node has now moved on to 22 degrees. Pluto is at 23, but it's basically like a chord of energy that's happening. So moon's going to trine Saturn, which is at 20, by the way. So it's all like this kind of one boom, boom, boom. Saturn's at 20, south node is at 22, and Pluto's at 23. So that it's all this chord of energy that we're experiencing. So moon is going to trine Pluto, okay? And when the moon trines Pluto, coming from that trine with Saturn, where it's like, how do we want to structure this? Like, how can we keep this growing? How can we nurture it? Pluto's like, okay, what deep inner resources, like, pull yourself, okay? It's really, really asking us to like solidify, Okay, like I kind of feel like, we're birthed and we're kind of like this gelatinous, kind of mess of possibility, because really that is kind of what new babes are, like we have a physical form, but we're, like I was saying before, we're not quite done yet. Okay, it takes a while for our bones to get hard. It takes a whole year for that. Our skull is still malleable. Like there's so much about us that is not quite finished yet. Okay, and it's like really, really taking stock and putting, really grounding us here. Okay, really giving us a grounding cord. So I feel like the moon's trine to Pluto is really anchoring this new self into a new foundation. We've done so much work over the last few weeks to, actually last few years. Our foundations are like, we've just done the work. Hopefully, if you've been doing the work, then your foundations, like you're ready to get anchored at the root. That's what I was saying. Pluto is the root of our personal power. Moon in Taurus trine Pluto in Capricorn on the South Node. This is reroot yourself. Reroot yourself in a better way. Okay, reroot yourself in what is true. Root down into what is true about your personal power based on your personal emotional resources, your emotional value, what your soul is worthy of. Root down into that. Okay, root down so that we can keep growing. That's how it's like that taproot, putting that taproot down so that we can reach the waters of Cancer underneath. We can reach what is nurturing. We can get that nourishment. This is putting the taproot down. Okay, that's what I feel like this moon in Taurus trine Saturn and Pluto in South Node. It's putting in the taproot. Okay, and understanding, we've cleared off all the extraneous things. What are we standing in? What is the thing that is true? Okay, it's like I was saying before, the Princess of Wands has now just one wand. Okay, got rid of the other 9, has one wand. Root that wand into the earth. Root that wand down. Okay, and let spirit grow from there. So that's moon in Taurus, trine Saturn, Pluto, and the South Node. And sextiling the North Node. So that's what I was saying, like we put that taproot down. Cancer's the waters that feed us, the waters that nurture us, the waters that sustain us. If we put that taproot down in Capricorn, it's going to hit the water underneath. Okay? Because Capricorn is actually the apex of our chart. It's the top of the chart. Cancer is at the very, very bottom. So it really is our roots, okay? It's about our roots. This is rooting into what we know is true, rooting into that personal power, rooting into spirit, okay? Via the soul, which is the moon, okay? Rooting all of that down and planting ourselves in that so that we are immovable. Okay, like that old church hymn, I shall not be moved like a tree that's planted by the water. Oh, I shall not be moved. Like it's like that. Okay, root in. It's showing us where and how within ourselves. This is, we might have external influences that will show us the way, but this is really about us right now. Okay, because we're in that vulnerable space. All of this work is very much personal. It's very much internal. Okay, because if we are to keep going to each next level, as the months go by, different things are being asked of us. Okay, so we've gone from vision to dream to birth. Okay, and like I was saying before, babies grow rapidly. Like this is rapid growth now, rapid growth and rapid co-creation. So really, really root down. Know what your personal power is. Know what you are standing on. Know what you are standing in. Okay, and understand that this is what's feeding your dream. This is what is feeding you. Okay, and know what that is. And if any changes still need to be made, they will show us. Okay, it will be made very clear what changes need to be made if our taproot is hitting rock, if our taproot is, hitting like, just a pile of stagnant water, we'll know that. We'll be able to feel that. Okay, if we're tapping in some place that is not healthy for us. Okay, because in order for us to keep growing and keep growing as our own dream, as our lives, and continue co-creating, okay, we need to be tapped into what is truly nourishing for us. That's the only way that this is going to keep growing. Okay. All right. Then the moon in Taurus is going to sextile Mercury in Pisces. Okay. So once again, the moon in Taurus is, like kind of almost simultaneously, because like the moon is meeting with Saturn, Pluto, and South Node and the North Node, and then like kind of boom, sextile Mercury, like right at the same time. So it's like this chord of energy, our dream. Okay, this concept of our dream. Okay, like Mercury's still in Pisces holding it. It's still malleable. Okay, that's what I was saying about, babies' heads being malleable. Like we're still vulnerable to impression. We're vulnerable to what's going on around us, in a sense that we have to be careful the energies that we allow in our spaces. Okay. And I feel like Mercury sextiling moon in Taurus is, it's giving that emotional, that intellectual, like emotional intellect. It's giving that information to the moon, okay, who can understand it. And it's like, how do I allot what I have at my disposal emotionally to continue growing this? Okay, to root down. Okay, to root down so that I can grow, because we're going to be very much aware of where it is that we want to be going. Okay, it's that Mercury in Pisces is that feeling mind. And it might be that we have to reroute some things because, Mercury has already, these are like the last passes that Mercury is making with Saturn, over the course of the next few days. And, with Jupiter coming up, Mercury during the retrograde has already done these things twice. Okay, so things that were going on end of February, middle of March. Okay, the clarity that we've been getting now that Mercury is going direct and moving forward, and we're in this birth phase, and, the dream is kind of, it's starting to show up. We're showing up differently now. Okay. So this means that we have to think differently. It's like, it's really, really like coming into clarity. All right. Coming into clarity as we tap down, as our tap root hits what's nourishing, hits what's sustaining, hits what's going to grow us. Okay. And we know what we're growing, and we're going to be getting super, super clear. It's clarity, clarity, clarity. All right. Which brings me to the moon moving into Gemini. Okay. So this is the next half of the week. Okay. So we started off the week with the Princess of Wands on Friday and the new moon. And now when the moon moves into Gemini, we're switching gears. Okay. And that sextile to Mercury is what helps us switch gears, okay? Because we've been grounded in, what's growing. We're rooting down into our personal power and understanding where we get that from on a root level. I mean, I'm talking underground level, like groundwater level, okay? Where we get that emotionally, okay? And this is still about our emotions. This is moon stuff, okay? Because our emotions affect what it is we call in. All right. If we're emotionally distraught, we're vibrating distress. We're going to probably bring some distress in. Okay. Like we've learned not to do those things anymore. Okay. Or not to stay in certain places. So this is us really getting clear. Okay. So Mercury rules our minds, rules intellect, rules Gemini, where the moon is going to go next. So after the moon in Taurus sextiles Mercury in Pisces, the moon's going to move on and eventually move into Gemini. Okay. And then the journey of the Princess of Wands changes. Okay. We've been on this journey for the last couple of days with the Princess of Wands, and now it shifts to the Knight of Swords. Okay. Knights in my deck are, they're the highest, like it's like the essence Okay, it's the essence distilled. It's like the distilled essence of the suit. Okay, so this is the spirit of air, fire of air. Okay, fire of air, which is the spirit of air. Okay, air in its purest form. All right, doing what air does. Okay, and the journey for the rest of the week into Friday is going to be like, we're getting very clear. Okay, we are getting very clear on what our needs are. We're getting very, very clear on where it is that we need to go, how we need to keep growing, what we need to keep growing. Okay, what we're calling in to keep growing, where we need to root down, how we need to root down, the steps that we need to take to anchor ourselves and the dream that we are co-creating with Source, how to anchor that down. Okay, we're getting very, very clear on what needs to happen. Okay, so that's Monday. Tuesday, the moon is still in Gemini, okay? And actually the moon moves in to each of these signs like super early in the morning. Lately, we're on that kind of track. So it's like the moon is moving into each sign like right before midnight, like on Eastern time. So early in the morning on Tuesday, the moon in Gemini is going to conjunct Mars, which means that they're going to be fusing energies. Okay, a conjunction is a fusion of energies. And moon in Gemini is our emotional intelligence. Okay, it's a thinking, like we're thinking with our emotions. Our emotions come in and we immediately process. It's emotional analysis. Okay, so we've just gone through, Pisces moon, air, like Pisces moon, where, we're really, really in contact and still like in that dream state. Aries moon, where like we are very clear. We are emotionally, our will, we want to act. We have fused with the sun, consciousness and soul together. Okay, and we're born. Okay, we're birthing here. Okay, what happens next is we anchor. Okay, we anchor through Taurus, we anchor through Capricorn, and now it's like conjunct Mars. We are analyzing our next actions. Okay, we are thinking about the actions. Okay, Mars is action. Mars is what we're doing, why we do it. Okay, Mars is like the force of will. Mars rules Aries. Okay, Mars rules Aries. Mars is like the action, like the will, like it's our will to do something, why we do it. It's our motivation. Okay, so, and being in Gemini, Mars wants to take lots of different actions because Gemini is a sign with lots of different options. Okay, it's a lot of like mental options. It's like you can see both sides of every situation, and it kind of flits from one thing to the other, and like maybe doesn't complete things. So it's like a lot of start, and then we're going to go back to this. But it's like, I feel like this time the moon, because the moon is such an anchoring force, and if we remember our vulnerability, okay, if we remember that we need to anchor down and take slower steps, okay, I feel like Tuesday, that moon-Mars conjunction is going to kind of reverb through the day as us, like I said, getting really clear about our actions, getting really, really clear on an emotional level, getting really, really clear, about what it is that we need to do, the steps that we need to take. That's that Knight of Swords. Okay, clear purpose. Okay, clarity of purpose. All right, cutting through bullshit and gaining some perspective. Okay, Mars cuts. All right, so if we are still holding on to any bullshit, it's going to cut through it. Okay, because I'm looking at this particular card that I have. Like I said, I read through from the Thoth deck, and it's a knight on a horse. His armor is green, which to me tells heart. Like that's about your heart. Green is the heart space. It's air. The heart chakra is ruled by air. Okay, on this golden horse, which to me is like, that's sun, that's consciousness. Okay, like that's our wild nature, just, like we're being led by our innate, we're being led by our instinct. However, our instinct is led by our heart, okay? Or our instinct is being guided by our heart, okay? And this guy, he's on this golden horse, he's all dressed in green, and he's got these two swords, okay? And he's flying overhead on what looks like blue skies, and he's got like these 3 swallows or birds underneath him. But today, for the first time, I noticed that there's appear to be slashes. I always kind of just looked at them as clouds all these years, but today it's like they appear to be slashes in the blue. It's like cutting through the bullshit. Okay, like as we come into our power, we're birthing, and we are still vulnerable, but we're not stupid. Okay, and as we come in, like, it's like coming into this protection. Like I said, this is what happens when you have children. Okay, when you have a baby, when you have something new that you want to protect, that needs protection, that needs nurturance, this is us caring for our new selves in a better way than we have cared for them previously. Okay, and when you have someone that, like, something vulnerable that you need to care for, your bullshit detector is like turned way up. Okay, and you don't have time. I mean, you ask any new parent, like, do they really give a shit about, like, the drama of, their friends who's, like, having, like, their man did this and, like, like, whatever, like, they don't, your coworkers bullshit. You don't care, because you know what? All of your focus is on keeping this vulnerable being alive. Okay, and that is what we are doing right now. It's like all of our focus is keeping our own vulnerable being alive, keeping our dream, what we saw, okay, the vision that we had in Aquarius season, the dream that we have been holding and, going through all this pain and, upheaval and shit to birth. Okay, we don't have time for bullshit anymore. It's like, cut it out. Cut it out. So I see like slashes in like the fabric that, he's like kind of like he's just like riding through like on instinct, knowing instinctually. That's Cancer. Cancer is instinct, my friends. So that's what I was saying. Like, you put that taproot down, you're running on your intuition, you're running on your instinct, and you know what you need, you know what you do not need. Okay, and it's slicing through illusion. Okay, which I also feel like the moon sextile Mercury is going to kind of maybe show us, like, not illusion. I don't want to say that per se. It's like, it's some more of that compare and contrast. Like, we have an opportunity when the moon sextiles Mercury before moving into Gemini. We have that opportunity to like look and be like, okay, this is the concept. What here ain't jiving with it still. Okay, but I feel like overall this is like really good energy. But I do feel like that moon in Gemini conjunct Mars, this is that Knight of Swords coming out. Okay, we are taking action to cut through our own bullshit now. Okay, or, if there's bullshit surrounding us, we're taking action to move away from it. Okay, also this Knight in the card that I'm looking at, he's got 2 swords, one in each hand. One is a long sword, one is a short sword. Okay, and what that told me this time, this is the first time I'm reading either of these cards in this way, is that he's got the long view. Okay, he's got the long view. Okay, long term. He knows what's happening in the long term, and he knows what he needs. He's understanding what he needs to do in the short term. So it's like seeing the long term actions that we need to take to anchor ourselves and really materialize what we want, okay, and allow it to keep growing, and then understanding those short-term steps, that we need to take, the short-term actions on the regular, on the daily. Gemini is our daily activity. It's how we move through the world every damn day. The people that we communicate with, our neighbors, our community, like, anything that we're learning, the media that we're taking in. So it's like being very cognizant of what you're taking in mentally. Okay, stimuli, anything like that is going to knock you off your balance. okay, and begin to uproot you or put you in a place that, you're not there anymore, but kind of make you emotionally feel like, oh, you know what, maybe like anything that's going to like kind of make you falter. Okay. Moon in Gemini conjunct Mars, like this Knight of Wands is like, no, I'm cutting through all of that now. I'm cutting it out. This is what I need to take. This is my long view. This is the short view. This is what I need to do. Okay, so that's Tuesday. That's us coming into that Knight of Swords energy, which will be with us for the rest of the week until Friday. Okay, Wednesday, there's a little bit more action on Wednesday. Moon will still be in Gemini. Okay, and the moon in Gemini, like I said, it's our emotional intelligence. It's where like we bring our emotions up for analysis. All right. And also communication. So analysis and communication. Moon in Gemini is going to square Venus in Pisces. Okay. So Moon in Gemini squaring Venus in Pisces. This is once again, this is where I was talking about like we could be coming into it's like anything that we may be in illusion about, like, as far as, because this is something that I had to learn, like not learn, but really see last week, while I was in my astrological thing with Mercury and everything. Emotions do not equal intuition. Okay. And not every emotion needs to be followed through with. Okay. So I feel like this moon in Gemini square Venus and square Neptune is going to maybe show us where we've been holding, like, because we have feelings. It's like, are these feelings still valid? Okay. Venus in Pisces it's the soul. It's what we're calling in from our souls. Okay. All right. Neptune also, Venus is attracting what our souls need, Venus is attracting what our souls need and like calling in what is resonant to this new birth, to this new vulnerable being that we are, this new dream that we are birthing, or we have birthed, I keep saying that. It's still happening. It's like this whole process. But anyway, and then, Neptune is the soul. Neptune is inspiration, like all the possibility and all of the feelings, okay? Venus and Neptune, it's hot. Venus is like the tangible material realm of resonance and love and connection. Neptune is the highest level of resonance and love and connection. So the moon in Gemini squaring, Venus and Neptune, like a square is frictional. All right. I feel like a lot of these squares haven't been frictional just yet. I feel like this one could be very, if we still have hangers on, okay, if we've still got some shit that we still need to let go of, this is like that clarity. All right. I don't feel like it's going to be super, super hard because I feel like we're just at that point right now where it's just like, we are birthing, we have birthed, whatever phase, whatever stage of the process that you're in, like either, you're coming out the womb or, you're already out and kind of like forming whatever stage you're at, like we're all going to get to that point where we are like here. Okay. And we're little babies. Okay. It's like, we're in baby stage and it's like, I feel like it's just going to be super clear any illusions that we may have had, okay, like about our own emotional selves, like where we were emotionally with things, like I was saying, like sometimes we get confused, like just because we have deep feelings about something that we think that it needs, like I don't want to say that our feelings aren't valid, but we feel like we need to like, keep exploring them. And sometimes our feelings, like they're feelings, but they aren't based in anything. Okay. And I feel like this particular aspect is going to clarify a lot of whether, where the real resonances are, where the real inspiration is, where the real unconditional love is. And like I said, this Knight of Swords is the essence of air. It is the essence of thought. It is pure thought. Okay. Pure thought. So this is like, we're going to know. Okay, we're going to know, and we're going to know in our hearts, and we're going to know in our minds, Okay, what illusion do we really, really need to let go of? And we're gonna know it in a sense. It's not even gonna be like, oh God, I had no idea. It's just kind of be like, that's very clear. Okay, moving on. Like, that's it, because we don't have time for that shit. Okay, we don't have time for it. All right, so that's what I feel like Moon in Gemini square Venus and square Neptune is going to be. Just like, it's a clarifying. It's like, we've done the work. If you don't know at this point what illusions you're holding on to, and I mean, there could always be surprises, but I feel like at this point, we've all done so much work. We kind of know where we're like, oh, you know what? I should really kind of tell the truth about this. I should probably stop lying. Let it go. It's not going to work. Like, I have the feelings, but, or even for some things, like just having us dry our feelings out a little bit, back it up. Okay, because sometimes we get so emotionally swamped in something that we lose sight of we lose sight of any clear action because we're too far in our emotions, okay? And we're not listening to our intellect, okay? So I also feel like that's another aspect, aside from like if you happen to be holding on to illusions, which I feel like if you've gotten to the point of birth, okay, and you're a little baby dream, like, Goo Goo and Gaga and stuff, I feel as though this is more about bringing ourselves out of that realm of emotion, okay, out of that, water mind so much, and really giving us clear, like getting clarity on, getting us out of that emotional state so much, okay? But really, like, anything, like, so that we can take more clear action, right? Take more clear action that resonates with us. All right. Because the moon in Gemini is also going to square Mercury. Okay. So Mercury rules Gemini. All right. So this is Mercury's in Pisces holding this concept. Okay. And it's like, what steps need to be taken? What mental preparation? Okay. Because Mercury is preparing to leave Pisces soon. So I feel like any vestiges of anything old that we weren't sure about, like maybe like things needed to like I said, Mercury is moving direct over a lot of the spaces. So it's like things are getting clearer as Mercury like makes a lot of connections and stuff. So I feel as though this is like one of those things where we're gaining clarity about a lot of stuff. And it's like narrowing down the concept of this dream more and more, so that when Mercury hits Aries, our minds are ready to fire. Our minds know exactly what to do. Okay, because it's then when that happens, it's going to be what's called mutual reception. Mercury is going to be in Mars's sign when it gets into Aries, and Mars is going to be in Mercury's sign. That's when we're going to really, really start to take action. Okay, that's what I was saying. Like right now we're in vulnerable state. Okay, a lot of this stuff is internal. This is cutting through our own internal bullshit. Okay, and really, really aligning ourselves with, okay, this is what I think about this now. It's like really looking at our situations and discerning it, not from an emotional standpoint, with love always, okay? Because here's the thing, love is not an emotion, all right? Love is not an emotion, and I feel like I need to say this because it's like a lot of folks are like, needing to get out of relationships, or things that we have once loved. Okay. And, and I'm talking any kind of relationship. If it's a person, like a situation, a job you really love, a teddy bear, I don't know, like whatever. But like, because we are in that, we're coming up on a Libra full moon in 2 weeks. And we had a Libra full moon 2 weeks ago. We're very much about relating. Okay. So changing our relationship to things in the sense that, we're getting clear. Okay. I just totally lost my train of thought. Damn it. But in this new state, we're getting very clear. And that's what I was saying. Love is not an emotion. Love is a state of being. Okay, so we can love something and have lots of love for it, but not be emotionally involved or attached to it. Okay, I hope that this makes sense to folks. It's really clearing out, it's getting clear about, how you can love something, but also let it go if it's not good for you. How you can love something, but if it's giving you bullshit, you need to cut it out. How you can move forward, taking the proper steps in love. Like I said, it's drying out our emotional selves, okay? Drying it out and helping us to understand that all of this is love. Okay, all emotions come from love. Everything comes from love. Like love is it's the most universal permeating state of being. It is how everything is created. It is how life exists, period. Okay, so if we can get that clear in our minds, it helps us to remove ourselves from emotional attachments that we have to things that are going to keep us from taking right action. Okay, that's the message there. Okay, that's the message with the moon in Gemini squaring Venus, Neptune, and Mercury. Okay, understand that all is love, but also understand that you can love something and not be emotionally attached to it. Okay, and clarify your emotions around a thing. Okay, and clarify if someone's actions and emotions towards you are do they look like love? Okay, do things look like love to you, whatever that means to you? Okay, but it's getting clear on love, getting clear on the separation of love and emotion. Okay, because they are different. All right, they're different, they're not the same. All right, then the moon in Gemini is going to oppose Jupiter. Okay, and that is, I guess, I feel like just really, really amplifying. It's like, you can't miss this shit. Okay, Jupiter makes things bigger, Jupiter expands things. Okay, but also at the same time, so it's like, no, you cannot miss this shit. Like, you can't be like, oh, well, that's it. I feel like it's gonna make everything very large for us. Like that whole square thing, it's like gonna make it very big so that we can't miss it, because it's something that we need to understand moving forward. Okay, because when we understand that everything is love and that we can take some distance from our emotions to clarify them, okay, take some distance from our emotions to analyze why we feel the things that we feel, okay, then we can see the appropriate actions to take, okay, we can set the appropriate boundaries, okay, but if we are just all in without looking because we want to call something love, okay, we mess ourselves up. And I mean, we all have been there. We all know someone that has been there. We also know someone that's probably there right now. Like we have to clarify these things for ourselves. Okay. And I feel like that's the message with Moon and Gemini squaring and then opposing Jupiter. But also it's like Jupiter, I feel like is just like Jupiter's message is just keep expanding, hold the door open. Okay, because when we see those things and it's like, oh, and you want to contract, I feel like Jupiter is there to be like, no. Spirit still is moving. Spirit still needs you. Change what you're thinking. Okay, change this belief pattern and hold yourself open. Okay, it's something that you believed in. Something that we believed in wholeheartedly. Okay, that we need to not be so emotionally attached to any longer. But we still need to hold ourselves open in love so that we can continue to grow, because something else wants to come. Okay, something else wants to come in the space. Like once we let go of things that, are not emotionally good for us, and release them in love. That's the other thing. If you release things in love, okay, then you're not accruing any extra karma. All right. You're not accruing anything that you need to go back and fix later. All right. Release it in love. It's all love. Everything serves a purpose. Okay. That's another meaning of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is meaning. Okay. So it's understanding. It's like showing us the things that we believed in. Okay. The ways that we believed in them to the point where we got too emotionally bogged down, drowned out, whatever, bringing us to that place of clarity and showing us the meaning of it so that we can release it in love, let it go in love, and take new actions from a place of clarity. Okay? All right. And then the moon in Gemini is going to sextile the sun in Aries. Okay, so we're doing all that, and the sun and the moon are going to sextile. Okay, so sun in Aries is, we're taking these actions, but it's baby steps. Okay, like the Aries sun is a baby. Okay, yeah, it might want to do some shit, but it can't do anything yet. Okay, not time yet. Lots of things need to be put in place so that the baby is safe. Okay, so that the baby can move around safely, so that the baby can grow safely, so that the baby eats, okay, so that the baby is cared for. All right, that's what we're doing now, so that Aries sun baby is kind of chomping at the bit a little bit. But this sextile from the moon in Gemini is going to really give the sun direction, okay, something to do. Okay, it's an opportunity to give the sun something to do. All right, which means get ready to make these changes. All right, because like I said, Knight of Swords, it's really start moving yourself in the direction of making the changes, cutting out the stuff. And this, like I said, this is all internal. It's internal. Some things might be more external, depending on your situation. Okay, but I do feel like a lot of this is a lot of internal work. It's really, we're changing ourselves, okay? Because when we're newly birthed, okay, and like I said, making moves from a place of new birth, we have to orient ourselves. Moon in Gemini is giving us clarity about where we're actually going, okay? And I feel, yeah, that's also something too. Moon in Gemini squaring Venus and Neptune and Mercury and opposing Jupiter is also really getting our bearings straight. It's where we're kind of still a little we don't know where we are yet because the landscape is different. Things look different. We're different. Understanding all of that and getting to a place of clarity within ourselves. So I feel like that sun sextile moon is just going to really be orient yourself this way. Okay. These are the things that we want to begin doing. All right. Knight of Swords, that clarity of purpose, clarity of heart. The moon is funneling all of that into the sun so that when it's time to move, the sun will know what to do, what direction to go. Like I said, Aries can go off half-cocked and fuck shit up. We don't want to do that. So this is baby steps. Okay, baby steps. And as we take the baby steps in flow, by the way, taking baby steps in flow, the appropriate structures are going to begin to form around us. Okay? Then the moon is going to move into Cancer. Okay? And yeah, so the moon's going to move into Cancer, and when the moon, that's later on in the day. Okay, so like I said, the moon has been moving into each sign super early in the morning. So that's the moon's journey on Wednesday. And also on Wednesday, so the sun is going to sextile the moon, but the sun is also going to square Saturn. Okay, and this is what I was talking about the sun wants something to do. Okay, Saturn's not yet. Okay, not yet. And that's why that sextile to the moon is going to really help the sun. Okay, because it's going to focus the sun on something. All right, this is the thing. All right. And then, like I said, if the sun is flowing, okay, the sun is flowing with the purpose, with the directive, orienting ourselves with the actions that we need to take, not necessarily taking them yet, just orienting ourselves, turning our attention, turning our direction, okay, really stepping into the fullness, rooting down, okay, that's what I'm saying, this is Saturn reminding us that we are rooted down. There are steps that we need to take. So the sun's going to sextile the moon and get the direction and the orientation. And then the sun and Saturn are going to talk about steps. Okay, but it might not feel so nice at first just because the sun wants to move, the sun wants to do something, and Saturn's like, I see you, but we can't do that yet. You need more information. You can't just go flying off because you don't know where you're going. You just fucking got here. So I have to tell my youngest all the time, he's so Aries. Okay, he's the one whose birthday is today. Aries all over the place. And I'm like, you just got here, dude. Like, you wouldn't need care and supervision if you knew everything already. Okay, and this is, we're in a new state. We still need care and supervision. So we still need to care for ourselves. We still need to remember that we are vulnerable. And that's that Sun square Saturn reminding us of that, reminding us to slow down, reminding us to get that clarity from the moon, okay? Reminding us to take direction, orient ourselves, make a plan, okay? If you really want to do something on Wednesday, make a plan. Get really clear about where you may have been like bullshitting yourself, cut the fabric of your illusions. Okay, get really clear. Gain that emotional clarity. Come up out of your emotions. Understand that it's all love. And know where you need to turn your direction to keep growing. Okay? What you need to get rid of to keep growing. What you need to uproot around you. Okay? Because we're rooted in. Okay, we are rooted in, but we got to maybe look around us and be like, oh, I forgot to remove this, like whatever, like we need to do that. Okay. All right. And Mercury in Pisces is going to trine, which is a flowing aspect. Okay. So Mercury in Pisces is going to trine the North Node, which means that Mercury holding this concept. Okay. And after talking to the moon, okay, and getting like really clear about, okay, like maybe I was like a little too far in I was a little too emotionally attached to whatever. Maybe it was even an outcome to something. Like, you could be emotionally attached to a certain outcome, holding on to this concept of your dream because that actually might be more what it is. Okay. If we're attached to outcomes, we don't let things grow the way that they need to grow. Okay, so it might not necessarily even be a person or a thing because we've done so much of that work. It might be being attached to outcome, being attached to a process. Okay, all right, and understanding that we need to let go of that emotional attachment to the outcome and to the process and understand that it's all love. Okay. And then that's when the sun will back itself up and we'll kind of get into a groove. Like I said, we can make plans. We can orient ourselves directly in a new way. Okay? And then when Mercury trines the North Node, Mercury has this new perspective. We're thinking about this differently. Okay? Because we're like, all right, I know what I want. I don't know how to get there. Okay? This is once again like kind of like releasing the how. All right, we just got here. We are newly reborn. We know what we want. We know what our imperative is, but we have no idea how to get there. Okay, this is the universe being like, hey, slow down. Understand where you are before you start trying to take steps. Understand what's required of you before you start trying to take steps. Get in your body. Let yourself feel into this new space that you are trying to bring in, this new you that you have just birthed. Get in there before you start trying to move, okay? And Mercury trine the North Node is like, yes, okay. And so Mercury has this new concept, like, okay, like, I need to just let go of outcome. I need to let go of any emotional attachments that I might be having. And then also, like, feeling for what's true. Okay, and that's why I was saying, like, it could play out differently. It could be outcome, could be people, could be whatever. Not really sure. But I think there's a group that, it could be like circumstances and people that might still need to go. And then others, it's like outcomes that you were holding on to. But either way, knowing that you are secure. Okay, that's Mercury trine the South Node. We're secure. What really brings you that security? Okay, is it the outcome? All right. Is the outcome nurturing to you, or is it the process? Okay. It's understanding this process. All right. Mercury is also going to be sextiling the south node while trining the north node. So as it's sextiling the south node and Pluto, mind you, it's really, really talking to us about, how we can anchor in opportunities to really root down some more. Okay. Really root down some more, put up appropriate kind of boundaries, really root down into power. Okay, take appropriate steps to bring us. It's like reminding us this is what you're going for. All right, so you need to kill the illusion of outcome. You need to kill the illusion of whatever you're so emotional about. Kill it. Okay, because this is the clear spring. We're looking for the clear spring, not the muddy water. All right, and I feel like that's kind of the difference between the two. Okay, while all of this is happening, Jupiter stations to go retrograde. Okay, so Jupiter in Sag is going to begin its yearly retrograde from now until August. Okay, and when any planet stations to go retrograde, it really pulls focus to that particular planet in that particular sign and what that means. So Jupiter is pulling focus for us to expand. Okay, and we already talked about Jupiter a few minutes ago because we were talking about the moon in Gemini opposing Jupiter and Jupiter asking us to stay open. Stay open. Examine what you believe. Understand what gives your life meaning. What gives you meaning? Okay? That's what Jupiter, we're really looking at that now, because as we are tearing down, okay, this is the last bits of tearing down old shit for us, okay, as we, we're new babies, but we still have a little bit of stuff we gotta get rid of, okay, and as we start to move through this dream, what brings us security and what brings us meaning can be two different things. I feel like it's Jupiter stationing on this particular day with all of these other aspects, where we're being asked to emotionally detach from some things and get clear on some things and, analyze how we're feeling. Okay. It's know what gives you meaning. Know what gives you meaning. Okay, because that's going to be the thing that's going to help you to security, help you to true security, help you to know where your emotional attachments do lie. Okay, while also, like I said, the universal law, which is also ruled by Jupiter, okay, is love. Okay, so remembering that always, but keeping ourselves, in a place of opening up to understand meaning, opening up to understand where we have been, okay, opening up to understanding what it is that we're letting go of, what it is that we're coming into now. What does this mean? Okay, because once we understand what this means, then we understand why shit can't come along, why we have to orient ourselves in a different way. It's like the light bulb goes off. This means this. If I want this, that means that I need to do X, Y, and Z. It is clarity of purpose. It's the Knight of Swords. Okay, it's clarity of purpose. What does this dream mean? What does this dream mean? And also, Jupiter in Sag rules your higher self. This is also our higher selves speaking to us. Okay, we just got born. We are grounding, rooting in. Okay, this is taking out any parts of us that are not aligned with our higher self, with our higher truth. Okay, it's taking all of that out and asking us to put our higher selves in charge. Okay, look for what's meaningful and put our higher selves in charge. Jupiter's retrograde. Jupiter, like I said, is expansive, but the retrograde is an inner expansion. It's not so much an external, it's an inner expansion of our world. So we are really being called to keep getting bigger, keep growing, keep growing, keep growing. And that's what I mean, this is like a rapid growth internally that we're going to be experiencing, for the rest of the year. Okay, so really, really get clear. Understand what is meaningful. Understand the purpose. Okay, that is Sagittarius. As I'm saying, clear purpose, Knight of Swords. Clear purpose. Clarity of your emotions, clarity of spirit. Okay, cutting through the bullshit. All right, that's Wednesday. All right. Thursday, nice quiet day. All right. Moon's going to be in Cancer. Moon's going to sextile Uranus early in the morning while most of us are sleeping. And that's just an opportunity to, after really gleaning our meaning and, cutting through some bullshit that we might have and clarifying our emotions and analyzing them and getting really clear, I feel like it's more of that opportunity for groundbreaking. Okay, more of that opportunity to break ground from this new perspective, okay, of what it is that we need. Moon in Cancer is our emotional needs, our emotional sustenance, our emotional nurturing, okay? Uranus in Taurus is still getting down, still quaking the earth. Okay, so shit's still moving, okay? It's still quaking, but something else is coming. Like the plates are shifting, but they're shifting so that we can stand firm. They're not shifting to, open the earth so we fall in. They're literally shifting so we can stand. Okay, they're shifting so we can build. All right, so Moon in Cancer sextile Uranus is setting up that framework like, oh, okay, like this is an opportunity for me. We might find opportunities to like really understand, like I said, coming off of all of the stuff, finding meaning and cutting through bullshit on Wednesday, and having that clarity, having that emotional clarity to truly understand what it is that we need and what it is that we need to grow. What it is that we need to grow to stand on. Okay? What is it that we're growing? What do we need to continue growing? That's what this is all about. What do we need to continue growing? What do we need to anchor here? Okay, because Cancer is about roots. Okay, Cancer is about roots. Taurus is about growing. You cannot grow shit without roots. Okay, so this is like checking in with the soil. All right, and understanding whether or not we're able to get nourishment and making it so. Opportunities for us to glean nourishment from our surroundings, okay, within ourselves, and understand truly what it is that we need to grow, what container we need to grow within. Then Friday, okay, Friday is the 12th, and the moon will be still in Cancer, okay, and the moon in Cancer is going to oppose Saturn first, okay. And the moon in Cancer opposing Saturn, that is some more like, this is what I need. Show me the structure. Okay? This is what I need. Show me the structure of what I need. Moon in Cancer, what I need. Structure of what I need. Saturn in Capricorn. Okay? So it's like we might be, faced with having to make, take some more action. Okay, it might be that we need to start taking a little bit of action. Like I said, I'm not sure. I think it's more personal orientation before we really, really get going. But certain things might pop off. You might see something and just be like, because it's like reconciling. That's what oppositions are. Oppositions are about reconciling. Okay, so we have to relate. Okay, so this is my need for structure. This is my need for security. How can I put them together? Okay, and this is my need for structure, and this is my need for nourishment. Both are looking for security. That Capricorn and Cancer are both looking for security. Okay, so that's how you reconcile them. What makes them both secure? Okay, so they can talk, and like I said, it's about a new baby. Everybody's happy when there are new babies, so I don't feel like this is going to be a super, super hard aspect to deal with. I think we're going to kind of already know because we've been doing the work this entire week, aligning. And like I said, we see what we have and we're excited about it. So we're excited to make the changes that need to be made. We're excited to do what's asked of us, even if we're tired, even if we're weary, even if we're just kind of like, oh my gosh, another thing to do. You're excited about doing it because you're starting to see something. You're starting to see something manifest. You feel yourself showing up differently in the world, okay? All right. Then the moon is going to go on for the first quarter square and square the sun in Aries. Okay, now this is this is all happening at once, so I really want to be, clear about what this entails, because not only is the sun squaring the moon, okay, the sun is also squaring the south node and Pluto, technically Saturn too, okay, and the moon is on the south node while this is happening. Okay, so the moon's on the north node. So the moon is on the north node, opposing the south node, which is next to Pluto. Okay, and the sun is squaring both of these things. All right, so we're at a point of choice once again. All right, it's a T-square. It's a point of choice. All right, and I kind of neglected to mention when I was talking about the T-square earlier, from Aries to Cancer Capricorn, but we're going to talk about it now because it wasn't relevant then. It's relevant now. Because my spirit didn't have me talk about it before. So basically what's happening here is that the sun in Aries, like I said, wants to do something. Okay, and the sun in Aries has been chomping at the bit. Okay, and the sun has oriented itself. Okay, we understand the steps that we need to take. What we want to do with the sun in Aries is really understand the steps. That's why I'm saying Wednesday's an important day. Make a list, make a plan. Aries functions well with that. Okay, it needs direction. All right, needs direction. Because we need to align our new will. Okay, we're vulnerable. Okay, so we need to make sure that our will is completely aligned, okay, with what it is that we want to be growing in moving forward, okay, and calling in moving forward. Once again, it's the process of conscious co-creation. So this is more alignment, okay? We just got out of an old situation. We don't want to start bringing those things back in. We need to get our bearings, see where we are, and understand the meaning of what it is that we're doing and reorient ourselves, okay? So the sun in Aries wants to move. Sun has been oriented, aligning our will. We're figuring out what direction that we need to go in, okay? But the sun doesn't know where to move to, okay? So the moon is holding our need for emotional sustenance, our need for emotional connection, all right? And really, really pulling that unconscious focus, okay, to the north node, okay, to that north node of like where it is that we're building home within ourselves, okay, we're building home within ourselves, we're building security within ourselves so that we can then find that outside of ourselves, okay, so this is about it within us right now, okay, because we're still babies. Okay, so this is making sure that our baby selves, our baby dreams are secure, okay, on an emotional level. So the sun is looking at this, sun's looking over here and like feeling that pull, all right? The sun is also feeling the pull of the south node, what we've come from, where we were, previous actions that we've taken, and really looking at Pluto and understanding where we're tapped in, how we're tapped in, okay? This doesn't necessarily have to be a hard aspect. I think it could be something where you kind of vacillate between because that's T-squares generally, like you kind of like, we would like south node it for a bit, north node it for a bit, south node it for a bit, north node it for a bit, before coming into like some kind of state of alignment or balance. But what I feel like is that, if we've been doing the work for this entire time, and especially this week, Pluto helping us to put in that taproot. Okay, putting in that taproot from the south node so that we know what gifts we have. We know what nourishment we're seeking. Okay, this could be a really great dialogue. All right, if we look at it this way, this could be a really, really great dialogue for, the moon and the sun and the south node, for us to understand what we're really anchored in. Okay, the sun now needs to understand the meaning. Like, the sun has the directive, but now the sun is understanding the meaning, the mission, the directive, which way to go. Okay, and we're pointing towards home. Okay, and I want to say this about the nodes of evolution, because I say this all the time. Once we master the direction, the new direction, which is the north node, it takes us back to the south. Okay, because it's a continuum. They're always connected. You don't just north node it and then that's it. You north node to re-experience your south node differently. Okay? So I feel like this is one of those things where it's like, if we orient ourselves knowing right now that we are babies, okay? Knowing that we are vulnerable, and we have something vulnerable that we just birthed, okay? Treat it like a baby. You wouldn't take a baby to the top of the mountain. You wouldn't take a baby and, root it down and bury it. Okay, that's Capricorn. That's the south node. That's Pluto and roots. Okay, you're going to nurture that baby. You're going to feed that baby. You're going to give that baby hugs and kisses. Okay, you're going to talk and coo and do all the things that you do with babies. Look towards Cancer. Okay, and that will then, okay, because here's the, that energy, all right, it's going to make us very aware. And this is what I was saying, like, some stuff still needs to go. And this is what I was talking about, our relationships, with Wednesday's astrology. It's kind of like Darth Vader in Star Wars, where, like Luke was getting zapped by the Emperor. Okay, and the Emperor's like zapping Luke, and Darth Vader, kind of looks up and he looks at Luke, and he looks at the Emperor, and he looks at Luke, and he looks at the Emperor, and he looks at Luke, and he looks at the Emperor, and you can see him like having this fight with himself, like, oh my God, like, what do I do? Like, do I go with this guy that, like, I've been listening to all this time, or do I go save my kid? I kind of feel like the sun is in that kind of position. Okay, but it's not that dire. All right, so I just keep seeing Darth Vader just like, do I do this? Do I do that? Do I do this? Do I do that? It's not that dire, but the solution, okay, the solution to this T-square, okay, because we're going to be trying to figure out how to balance it. Okay, it's like being on a seesaw, especially since they both have weight. The moon is on the north node, Pluto's on the south node. They both have weight. And actually, the south node kind of has a little bit of extra weight because Pluto's there, okay? Pluto's a little heavier than the moon. So we're going to be like trying to figure out, we know what we want to do, but we don't know how to actually, like, how to go about it. Once again, we're going to look across the way to Libra. Libra is the sign opposite Aries, okay? That energy has to spill out. Our relationship to our world must change. Our relationship to something must change. It must change. Okay, so it's going to filter out into our relationships. Okay, and I'm not just talking, intimate relationships or from like with people. I'm talking our relationship to the world. Okay, we are new beings. Okay, and the sun is sitting there understanding, like looking at our personal power and how we're now we're rerouted in a new way. Okay, we are anchored in a new way, looking at our emotional needs and our emotional sustenance and what we need to grow moving forward so that we can continue on this journey with the North Node in Cancer for the next 13 months. Understanding, okay, I'm here. My relationship to the world has to change because I'm different. I have different needs now. I am rooted in my power in a different way. That's how this changes. your perspective, the actions you take in the world, the actions you take in relationship to the world must change. And this is why it's not necessarily that we need to be taking action, because the sun just got clarity on the direction, okay, and got clarity on the steps. But now it's like understanding how those steps then affect everything else. Okay, and that's relationship. That is, it's even mathematical. Like there's mathematical relationships. Okay, if I do this, it affects this, and this. It affects this outcome. It affects this answer. It affects this person. Okay, it's understanding our will in relation to everything else around us. Understanding this what this vulnerable new being that we are, this new dream that we are birthing, understanding that the steps that we are about to take are going to shift our relationship to everything here. It's going to shift our relationship. It's going to shift us into a new way of relating to our world, relating to the people around us, relating to ourselves. Okay, it's going to shift us. Okay, and hopefully bring us back into some kind of balance. Okay, because that's really what Libra is about. Libra is about balance. Okay, so if the sun is across from Libra, looking at the seesaw of the evolutionary continuum and not knowing what to do, it's understanding that, and not knowing how, and the sun's looking there like not knowing which, being oriented and having the steps, but not knowing, because both are vying for its attention. Okay, the personal power, the needs, the personal power, the needs. It's understanding, coming into a place of understanding our relationship and how the steps that we take, all right, affect our relationships to everything. So it's more clarity of purpose, more clarity of action, okay, more aligning with your heart, okay, more aligning with that heart space, okay, and feeling into what needs to go, taking that long view, okay. Capricorn's the long view with the short-term goals, the short-term actions. That's Cancer. Okay, we can even look at it like that. So by saying this Knight of Swords, it has these two swords, a long one and a short one. Long-term Capricorn, short-term Cancer. We can look at it that way. But understanding that as we do this, it's going to shift things. It's going to change our relationships. It's going to knock certain relationships out. Things are about to shift. Okay, and it's really orienting ourselves to that and knowing that when we begin to take these steps, that's what's going to happen. All right, so then the sun is going to oppose Pluto, not the sun. The moon's going to oppose Pluto. Okay, and I kind of already talked about this with the South Node. So it's like really like the moon is going to be, as the moon is opposing Pluto, it's like, kind of opposing Pluto on the South Node is like kind of pitting our emotional needs against our needs for personal power, if that makes sense. Okay, so, and that's why the sun's going to be like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Personal power, emotional needs, personal power, emotional needs. I don't know, so it like, but as long as we are not doing any of these things at the expense of anyone else, okay, that's what we really, really need. Like, as long as we are getting our needs met, we're looking at reciprocity once again. That's the other thing. We're also looking at reciprocity. Okay, what's feeding us and coming back to us? Okay, Cancer is the tides. Something goes out, something comes back in. Something goes out, something comes back in. So we're going to be very much aware of reciprocity as well. And are the relationships in our lives reciprocal? So it's going to be time to start cutting those ties with things that are not reciprocal. And maybe, like I said, not externally yet, but orienting ourselves. Because as long as we are following Cancer's imperative, we're going to go back to that South Node stronger. Okay, so it's really, really not even, like, I'm giving you the key. Okay, don't worry about the pull for personal power. All right, don't do that. As long as if you can feel into what's secure, if you can feel into what is nurturing and nourishing, if you can feel into what is reciprocal, okay, because that's, like I said, that's going to help Aries, the Aries sun, that's going to help the Aries sun figure out which way to go, okay? Figure out which way to go. If you take the north node, you'll always go back to the south node, okay? It's just that simple, all right? And even if you happen to take the south node, we're in taproot time, so you will hit the north node eventually, okay? Your personal power, you will be secure, okay? So it's all kind of the same thing, but we're looking for reciprocity. We're understanding that our relationships need to change, okay? And that our actions, all right, our actions need to reflect that. Our actions need to reflect reciprocity, and our actions need to reflect, how do I want to say, people, excuse me, not people. Our actions need to reflect, I can't get this word. I can't get it out. Our awareness of others and our awareness of circumstance, our awareness of our newness, okay? And what is coming to us, what is helping us grow, what is not helping us grow. All right. Then the moon in Cancer is going to trine Neptune and Venus and Mercury. Okay. And when the moon trines Neptune and Venus and Mercury after, squaring the sun, and actually right before squaring the sun, I should say, before and after, so it's like both, but I'm just kind of doing it all at once. So the moon's going to trine Neptune, Venus, and Mercury in Pisces, okay? And the moon is, in the midst of squaring the sun and opposing Pluto and being on the north node and, all of these things, okay, and opposing Saturn. Okay, the moon trine Neptune is really, it's like, okay, like, that's what I'm saying. It's pulling this focus to the moon and what the moon's needs are. Okay, what are the moon's needs? Okay, and infusing the need, like we have this need for emotional sustenance. Okay, unconditionally. Neptune and Pisces, unconditionally. What are the possibilities? Okay, untapped possibilities to get what we need. Okay, all right. So that's Neptune. It's like untapped possibilities that we can draw in through our north node. Okay, to pull in what it is that we need for our emotional sustenance. Venus, that soul resonance. Okay, this is us understanding what is resonating with us on a soul level. This goes back to the Aries sun looking across the way to Libra. Venus rules Libra. Venus rules resonance, reciprocity, what we attract. Okay, so that is what we're looking at. We're looking at reciprocity. We're looking at our relationships. We're looking at our relationship to everything. That's why I was saying that, because Neptune and Venus and Pisces are our connection to everything. So we're looking at that. We're looking at our connection to everything and understanding are these connections to all the things that we're connected to, are they able to grow us? Are they able to sustain us in this new state? Are they able to do what we need to grow into this place of personal power that we're coming from with the South Node? Okay, we're tapping in a new way. Okay, so we might be feeling a lot of the ways that we used to feel, okay, with that South Node, but it's really to draw us forward into what is truly resonant and reciprocal for us. I hope all of this is making sense. And I know I'm going on for a while, but I had to do this in sections. So the second section is way longer than I thought. But yeah, so this is really asking us to reorient ourselves. Okay, really, really reorient ourselves and see what it is that we are calling in and align that calling in, align that resonance with our emotional needs, with our need for sustenance, with our need for security, okay? And our need for reciprocity, okay? Because in order for us to grow this, we cannot grow. We don't, right now, we're vulnerable, okay? We're vulnerable. We just use a lot of energy to birth ourselves, to birth this dream. Okay, we don't need anything draining us again. Okay, we don't need to sit for things that are emotionally draining to us. We don't need to be in places of emotional, like enmeshment. Okay, that's what I was saying about the other day, like, Wednesday, getting that emotional clarity, analyzing your emotions, getting clear on your purpose, getting clear on your path. Okay, all right, the sun has that information and can funnel that. Okay, but it might not feel great. Okay, may or may not, I'm not sure. And then Mercury, like I said, with this concept, okay, of this blueprint, it's like, all right, like, here we are. We're doing this. Okay, we're doing this, and I understand what we need, and I'm funneling this to the moon. Okay, because the moon is like, talking to the North Node. Moon's right there. Okay, so Mercury's funneling all of this to the moon, and the moon and Mercury are talking, and it's like, put this in the concept. This is reciprocal. Okay, these are my needs. These are my needs for reciprocity. Okay, these are my needs for, this is how I need to take action. Okay, this is how I need to take action to protect my vulnerability. These are the actions that I need to take to protect my dream. Okay, these are the actions that I need to take to keep me in my personal power and tapped in. Okay, that's what we're looking for. All right, from a soul space. Okay, from a soul space deep within. Okay, because that's going to nurture us. Okay, and then Mercury is going to square Jupiter. All right, and when Mercury squares Jupiter, Mercury's also talking to the moon. Okay, and when that happens, it's like, we have, like I said, like, Mercury's got this concept and is funneling this concept and like all this new stuff into our North Node with the moon there. But Mercury is also, it's like Jupiter is asking Mercury to keep expanding this concept. Keep expanding it. Let it get bigger. Okay? So it's like this square where Mercury's kind of like, a little bit fixed, I want to say, because like I said, like, Mercury's like had to do a lot of work, squaring the moon and getting clear on things, and now it's like squaring Jupiter, and it's like, and Jupiter is, newly retrograde, so it's really, really important that we keep open. Okay, find meaning. What is the meaning of this concept? It's almost like we have to understand completely now. Okay, what it is that we are doing, where it is that we are going, what directions. Like before, we're like, I have this vision, now I have this dream, and I'm birthing it, and now it's like, it's here. Okay, it's here, it's coming into being, it's vulnerable, it's us. What are we doing? We need to understand on an intellectual level, on an emotional level, on every level of our being, what this means. What this means, and let our higher selves get in so that we can start moving, so we can really, really let ourselves grow up in the way that we need to grow. Let ourselves be on this healing path, okay? So that is the message for this entire week. I appreciate all of you. Thank you all so, so much for listening, for, subscribing, and, all your lovely messages. And I just really, really appreciate it. This is a joy to be able to do. And I really, really hope that it resonates with you and that it brings you all a lot of peace and, gives you some direction on, what is being asked of us at this time for those of us, for whom this is our path right now. If you would like to know more about me or my work, please visit my website, elementsandalchemy.com. You can also find me on Instagram. Like I said before, I only speak when spirit moves me. So, sometimes I post on Instagram and sometimes I don't, but I am there, and I do take DMs and like all that good stuff. So, find me on Instagram at Elements into Alchemy. The Aries season playlist is up on Spotify, so just check out the Aries season playlist by Elements into Alchemy. You'll find it there. And I think that is about it. I know that this was a long one, but I'm making up for last week. Like, this is what Spirit had me say, because I think this is such a huge, it's a huge time for us right now. We're literally moving between two different energies, you know, from Princess of Wands to Knight of Swords, and we're birthed, we're here, okay? And it's really important that we understand the vulnerability and the beauty and the wonderful potential that we have, but we really, really need to, you know, take our time and take steps and really think about what we're doing and our relationships and our relationship to ourself first and foremost, okay? And that's really what I think next Friday is about, really our relationship to ourselves. You know, Aries sun is the self, it's the will. And I really think, you know, look at your relationship mostly to yourself, because that's the one that resonates and calls in all of your other relationships, okay? And especially looking at ourselves as these new vulnerable beings, treat ourselves as such. Okay, be good to yourself, be kind to yourself, love yourself, understand that you just came through a whole lot of stuff to get here, and you did good. All right, so love you all. Thank you all so much for being here, and I will talk to you next week. Much love.